let's. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the SNA podcast. As always, my man Anirudh here with me, and unlike last week, today it's going to be just me and him because I think we both can say that there is not much good stuff to talk about with respect to Man United this week. Of course, the international break is going on, which is why we kind of took our time with this one. But lots of things to talk about. Definitely not not very positive, but we're going to try our best. We're going to try our best. Um, you know, that being said, Anirudh, I think the first thing we want to dive into is the absolute abysmal slapping that Tottenham and Jose Mourinho delivered at Old Trafford against us. 6-1 at full time. And it was a disgusting, disgraceful performance. And trust me, I mean, we're smiling right now, but the pain is real. So tell me, Anirudh, what are your thoughts on the game?
What the hell was that? To be honest, we go 1-0 up. We expect to keep the lead. We're playing at Old Trafford, and then we turn up with a beyond, you know, yeah, you just put it right, abysmal performance. Mind you, that red card, before that red card, we got walloped. After the red card, it was just like a training session for Tottenham. And, they mocked us. And in the end, they tweeted saying, it's Tottenham lads, rubbing salt in the wound. We were shit all round, like literal shit. I mean, attack, defense, we were all over the place. No ball awareness. We like passing in twos. Each guy is standing next to each other, just walking on the field. When you're 1-0 up, attack, man, it's fine. We're, again, as I said, we're playing at home, right? And we had already lost a game at home. And I think it's painful, and come to think of it, I shouldn't say we probably, deserved the loss, given that that red card was actually brutal on the referee's part. It was, if Marshall had to be sent off, then Lamela had to be sent off as well, clear as daylight,
Mm-hmm.
right? But didn't happen. Marshall got sent off. Now he misses the next game, right? And we're in a grave position now. 3 points from 3 games, and that 3 points came and how
Pure luck.
and your luck. And the story of our season is we absolutely suck.
Mm-hmm.
No performance. Like we're just walking sculptures on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It pains me to say all of this,
Right.
right? And I keep saying it. Why we've spent so much on Donny? Why do we have to bring him so late? You could have started the game with Donny. He's right. And I'm not going to question anybody. I'm not going to say the manager did this, the players did this. It
Mm-hmm.
was an overall abysmal performance.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we just walked into some random park,
Mm-hmm.
right, where seasoned professionals are playing, get walloped, say, like a five-a-side score of after some point in time, people don't even know what the score is like, and then come out and say,
Right.
"Oh, we played well." No,
Right.
it
It
was
was.
absolute shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like what the hell, man? And
Right.
yeah, I really don't want to talk more about the Tottenham game because we gotta move on again. We
Right.
can go on and on and on about the Tottenham game.
Right.
But I will tell you one thing though. I want to ask you first. I've told my opinion about the Tottenham game. You gave an intro saying that it was abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think about that red card? What do you think about Bruno Fernandes and his, taking off at halftime? There is an apparent bust up. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're not here to speculate, are we? But we do know that there was some anger involved from whatever we've read online.
Mhm.
So what do you make of the entire thing?
So from my opinion, I mean, going to the red card and the game, I mean, it was like a school team, right? Like a sixth grade school team playing against a professional team is what it looked like, to be very honest with you. I mean, from back to front, I don't think any player on that day deserved to wear the Man United badge. They were absolutely disgusting. It was a disgraceful performance. And for them to fold like that after a red card is shocking, absolutely shocking, especially at home. And now we've gone back to back losses at home for the first time, I believe, since the last time we were relegated. So, it's
It's
very,
painful.
very, very painful, very worrying signs. But to go into detail about the red card, it's one of those, right? Martial's reaction is horrible. He should not be doing that, in my opinion. Just from the perspective that, dude, you're going to get sent off at that point while when you do that, right? So I personally am of the opinion that of course Martial should have exercised control. He should have not gone for such a reaction where he throws a slight jab into Lamella's throat. I think Martial gets the red card there. So I guess that in the moment felt like the right decision. And retrospectively, when you look back at it, when Lamella's made the most of that situation in it, he's the one who's first instigated it.
He
It's
just
it's a
fell.
very it's a very dirty. I mean, you can't say I don't want to say dirty, but it's that almost sly, cunning kind of maneuver by Lamella, where he has originally initiated it. He has kind of
Yeah, and then
gone into
he
Martial.
makes a meal of it.
He's got exactly, and then Martial. I mean, again, like I said, I would have hoped of him of all people on the team who's generally known to be ice cold. I would have hoped for him to exercise a little more control, but I agree with the assessment, and that was something that Rashford brought up as well in the game now that we have seen,
Right.
and that is a big question. I mean, it almost like we mentioned about this that there seems to be a lack of team spirit within the squad at this point, and there are certain things that are really highlighting this now. Rashford brought it up in the game on tape. We hear Rashford tell the referee that
Why is it
why
not on VAR?
right. Why is it not being checked? If anything, it should be a red for both of them, which I thought possibly could have actually been a yellow for both of them and caution, which is something that we see in these kind of situations generally when both players are at fault. Um, and it's funny that it's Maguire, our captain, who is
Just leave it.
who is shutting Rashford up. I mean, I to me personally, and I mean, a lot of our I have to say a lot of our viewers are rival fans, and of course they're having a great time watching this meltdown. But I have to say that this is not me being biased at this point towards Manchester United. I just personally feel that it's one of those when there are those 50-50 situations where players get into
Check
spats
it,
like that.
dude.
It's well, even if you check it or not, it's generally the same punishment for both the players, especially in this kind of a situation. So Maguire asking Rashford to shut up like that is a big, big red flag in my opinion, and that is a big issue. And taking that into the next point that you mentioned, the Bruno Fernandes. So subbing Bruno off at halftime, in my opinion, was a stupid decision. Because if anything, he is the one who grabs players by the collar, even if we're down 4-1. He is the one who will grab players by the collar and ask them to still give 100% in there. To keep to keep Pogba on the pitch, and this is no agenda against Pogba, mind you, but to keep Pogba on the pitch at that point and take Bruno off, I thought was a really poor decision. And now that we find out that Bruno actually had a bust up in the dressing room where he has gone up to Maguire and told Maguire that he's not fit to wear the shirt. He has gone and told Ollie that he did not agree with his tactics in that moment. It's one of those where I personally, for once, feel that what Bruno did was right. He did not agree with what happened, and he voiced his opinion, and that is something I actually expect my captain to do. So, I mean, Bruno's been here for half a season. I don't expect him, I don't expect us to hand him the armband right away like we did with
Whoa,
Pogba.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I just want to add
Mhm.
to something that you've just mentioned, right? It just hit me in the back of my mind saying that
Mhm.
when you said Bruno's been here for half a season, Maguire came in, he was handed the armband.
Right, exactly. So that's exactly what I was saying. That Maguire came and we gave him the armband, which was a pathetic decision. And I still think that Bruno, to hand him the armband right now would not be the right decision. But my whole point with this is that the bottom line is, seen from the outside, no matter how much Ollie says it, there is something wrong with that squad. They are not gelling together. There is bust ups. Bruno had a bust up with Lindelof. Now Maguire. Now we always see Pogba being talked about
Right.
as the virus. So there is something going on in that dressing room, not for this year. This has been going on for a long time, mind you. This is the third, fourth year running. Yes, you're bang on, right? Ever since we won that Europa League in the first season after Jose, every year there has been some story of something fishy going on in the dressing room, and for some reason it always ends up being Paul Pogba. So I am personally very confused about what the mood of the team is, what the squad is, and with this kind of a team chemistry going into the season, it is horrible. We're looking at a very, very, very bad season, and some ridiculously poor performances to come up, and that is what my
No,
assessment of the situation would be.
no, something that I would like to share with what you've been speaking about Paul Pogba and
Hmm.
Victor Lindelof and everybody, right? Here is the deal. Even in this transfer window, after this transfer window got over,
Hmm.
and Paul Pogba faces the media, right?
Hmm.
What does he do? He flirts with Madrid
Again,
again, and this is not the first time. This is not the second time. It's
right?
like
It's
every
a
time,
every 2 3 months we hear about this.
right? And I say, if you want to leave, just leave, right? And I'm not gonna say, as long as you're at the club, you're our player, right? I'll back you to the hilt, man. But if you really want to leave, just leave, right? And I'm going to side with you on this, saying that Bruno Fernandes has
Hmm.
not done anything wrong. If he has every right to
Hmm.
you know go around in the dressing room bellowing,
Hmm.
say you haven't done well, you haven't done well, because he's right, man. Ever since he's come, he's been busting his ass for everybody,
Right,
right? Literally playing 90, 120, 90, 120,
right.
right? You tell one game where we've seen Bruno, like, having, okay, subpar performance, taken out at 50, taken out at 55. You tell me
Hmm.
one performance since he's come in.
Nope.
As
Zero.
much as people talk about him and the penalties and everything, I say man's been busting his ass
Right,
for 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 a best part of 10 months now.
right.
Right? And if we can give Harry Maguire, okay, nothing against Maguire, he's our club captain.
Hmm.
He's had a turbulent summer. He's having a rough patch, right?
Hmm.
Tough situations don't last, tough men do. Right?
Hmm.
I really hope Maguire comes out of this
I
mess.
agree.
But on the flip side, you're the captain of United, man.
Hmm.
Right? As much as, and I want to tell you one more thing, right? We keep saying that we're the biggest club in the world, we're the biggest club in the world, right? We don't have anything to back it up right now.
Right.
Like, we have absolutely nothing to back it up right now. We're a mess.
Hmm.
We don't know what we're doing.
Hmm.
And from the board to a lot of players,
Hmm. Top to
people,
bottom.
it's rotten,
Right. I agree.
right? And talking about rotten, you know what? Keep the 6-1 aside. Let's talk about what happened a couple of weeks ago, shall we?
Uh, Man, so again, like talking about that club captain point, just a quick small reference to that. I'm used to, and again, we hear about Keano, right? We hear about Roy Keane catching players by the collar, putting them against the wall, our own teammates, and telling them that they better fix up or they're out. That is the kind of club captain we've had over the years, and from that to our current club captain telling our own player to basically shut up
Shut up.
against, I mean,
Exactly.
we had Roy Keane fighting Patrick Vieira in the tunnel at Highbury when they were unbeaten. for Gary Neville. That is the club captain that I am used to. That is the club captain I want to see. We had Vida. Vida
who
put
who
everything on the
who
line.
bled on the pitch, to
Vida
be honest.
busted. Vida broke his nose. Vida broke his teeth. I mean, it's not about being nostalgic or going back to the Sir Alex Ferguson era. It's about saying that this is what has, these are the traditions of the club. And I mean, I don't know. I'm dicey about Maguire now the way it has gone. But like you said, putting that aside, let's come to the big problem, the transfer window.
Oh,
Uh,
before that, right?
mhm,
Before the transfer window and everything.
mhm.
Patrice Evra, right? He's been literally teary-eyed every time he steps onto that Sky Sports.
Man even
Uh,
said cancel my contract, innit?
man even said cancel my contract. He even said that, you know what, I don't want to quote the line, but he actually said that people need to be
Yep, slapped.
hit. He said people need to be slapped,
Yep,
right? And if a man like Patrice, like Uncle
yep,
Pat, who's the ever jovial guy,
right,
who loves the club inside out, and mind you, he took that 6-1 reference when he spoke on Sky,
right,
right? And when he says something is rotten, you really know something is rotten.
right. And he was at the club though recently. He was, if I remember correctly, he was getting some of his badges done for coaching or something like that, and he was working with the club. So he does know, he does have certain insights in that club. So, it was really sad to watch Uncle Pat like that. And again, one of the fighting captains for our club. So I personally, I think it is a big rotten mess from top to bottom. And like I said, that's what I mean. If there was not enough evidence of that on the pitch, off the pitch, the transfer window has proven that. There is no question about it. So let me bring this up to you, Anirudh. So I want to summarize our transfer window just really quickly, and then I want to get your comments on this stuff. So let's start with this here. Our signings for the transfer window have been Donny van de Beek from Ajax, which we all know has been a transfer where Edwin van der Sar has played a big hand. We have signed Facundo Palestri from Uruguay, where now we are hearing from Penarol that it was a transfer suggested and forced through by Diego Forlan.
Forlan,
Okay,
right?
so these are two ex-players who have actually brought these players in. I personally don't know anything about Palestri, so I choose not to comment on the lad. He's a young kid, so I personally cannot comment on him. And we have signed Amad Traore from Atlanta, and he's another one where he's a young player. We've heard things about him, but we have no idea about. I personally, at least, I don't have much insight into what to expect, what's going to come. Especially he's going to come in January, so I don't even consider him as this a signing for this window. And our whole summer, yeah, we have spent behind the new number seven. We have spent it behind having a marquee signing. That has been the words used, a marquee signing, a new number seven, a right winger, which was all on Jadon Sancho, which now we know that, as it was quoted, that Man United were playing poker at a table where there was no opponent. So it's really disgraceful to hear how that situation was handled. But we have ended up bringing in on a free transfer. We have paid 10 million pounds in agent fees, and we have paid monster wages, free transfer to a 33-year-old Edinson Cavani. Now, Cavani is a proven goal scorer. He is PSG's record top scorer. He has definitely some pedigree to that name. But he is the one who's the marquee signing, which is completely baffling to me personally because I did not see the need for another striker, especially not an immediate quick fix striker like Cavani. I think it's a pretty senseless transfer. But we look at the other transfers, and that has been our whole window. So it has been Donny van de Beek, Facundo Palestri, Amad Traore, and Edinson Cavani. And I want to talk to you, and I want to get your opinion on the transfer window as a whole before we dive into particular players. So what do you think of the whole transfer window in general?
Uh, Look, man, it's just exhausting, isn't it? We knew that if Jadon Sancho was not gonna come, he was never gonna come,
Right.
right? And for all the talk of him being the number seven, him being the new number seven for a good part of a decade or so, assuming that he's the guy at Man United, right? From there we go ahead and give it to Edinson Cavani. Edinson freaking Cavani,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who I've seen from his Napoli days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Napoli, PSG.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you this, right? I watched a game
Mm-hmm.
where Edinson Cavani was playing against an English club. I don't want to name, right? And he had three chances that game
Mm-hmm.
to just put the game to bed, put the tie to bed, and make that club move on,
Mm-hmm.
right? Open goals, and he misses all of them, right? But he's a good goal scorer. You can all say that his records can speak for themselves. However, he was a free agent for the entire summer.
Mm-hmm.
And what do? We wait till the end, the last, couple of hours of a transfer window, of a summer
Right.
transfer window,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where we couldn't find any center forward,
Mm-hmm.
any other center forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we pay 10 million agent fees for a free agent.
Right.
What are we doing?
It's
Didn't we do the same thing with Audi and Igalo? When our chiefs at the club said, you know what, you accept this deal or I'm bringing a player from China. Is this how you make a deal, man? And I would be livid, like absolutely livid, if
Mm-hmm.
Edinson Cavani turns out to be another Radamel Falcao.
Mm-hmm.
Play two games, get injured. Who
Right.
cares, man? You're getting paid monster wages.
Right.
And I am telling you,
Mm-hmm.
for all the talk of, oh, United is this, oh, United is that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, boss, you don't perform for the club,
You're done.
you're done, right? And the sad fact is that I'm getting shades of the players who've earned monster wages and haven't performed. I don't want to name them,
Mm-hmm. No, I mean
right?
we can. There is a big list. I mean Sanchez is right up there, of
That's
course.
what I said. I don't want to name them, right? It just
Right.
keeps going on and on because
Right. It's a massive list. You're
we we
definitely
bloat the wages
right. And
because we're United. People think we can pay,
right.
right? We don't. Okay, look, I don't know anything about the kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pellistri, I really have no clue
Right.
about him,
Right.
right? We signed Donny van de Beek,
Mm-hmm.
right? In a position where, you know what, yeah, it needed strengthening in squad depth.
Mm-hmm.
But if if we had a little bit of, that that priority list,
Mm-hmm.
right, we would never go for a center forward
Right.
because we have Igalo, we have
Mm-hmm.
Rashford, we have Marshall,
Mm-hmm.
and we have Mason Greenwood who can all play center forward
Right.
positions.
Right.
We bloody didn't need Cavani as a marquee signing.
Right.
I would rather, if it was me, and I'm sure that you would agree,
Mm-hmm.
given how we're just leaking goals, like how water leaks in taps,
Right.
I would rather go for a center back right now because given that Phil Jones never plays,
Right.
monster wages never plays.
Right.
Victor Lindelof has been so error prone.
Right.
Eric Bailly plays two games as much as I love him,
Right.
right? What's happening?
Right.
Harry Maguire in his current state,
I mean his head is still in Greece.
his head is still in Greece. I mean, poor lad. He's had
Right.
I go back again. He's had a turbulent summer,
Right.
right? And we signed Alex Telles too,
Right.
right? And look, man, we've had Shaw, we have Shaw, we have Brandon Williams, right? And Luke Shaw's come in and told that our club needs signings,
Right.
right? And I'm not the one to dig up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm generally not the one to dig up what players have told to the
Right.
media, but it is utterly damning that a player comes out and tells we need signings.
Yep.
Does it shows? It shows two things, man. One, the squad's not good enough in his eyes,
Right.
and two, in the public opinion, right? Why is a player coming and telling out that?
Right. And mind you, this is a pretty average player. This is not, it's not like it's your Rashford or Fernandez who have come out and said we need signings. It's Luke Shaw.
It's Lukshaw, and
So if the squad is not good enough in his eyes, it's
it spells trouble, mate. It absolutely spells trouble,
right.
right? And I go back again. Why on earth do Manchester United need Edinson Cavani at the age of 33, right,
Mm-hmm.
as a marquee signing and giving him the number 7 shirt,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we had intent,
Mm-hmm.
if we actually had ambition,
Mm-hmm.
right? No matter what, we
Mm-hmm.
could have actually had a Jadon Sancho home,
Right.
no matter what, because
Right.
we have the financial muscle,
Mm-hmm.
we have the capability. Because we're Man United, man. We pay
We have
fees
money.
like
There's
we
no
have money.
question about it. We have money,
Leave
but
the fact that we have money, right?
right,
We pay fees like no other club does.
right,
Lukaku,
right. We are known to overpay, like we did for Maguire. It was a
absolutely. Who's on the phone? It's Man United. Okay,
right,
ask them about 100 million.
right. I mean, Fred was
It's
the
as
biggest example. I mean, Shakhtar came out and said that
50 million.
we thought it was going to be a 20 million deal, but we were offered 50. So we totally took the mickey out of ourselves. And talking about that, man, like you referenced a few times, Cavani. I mean, I just want to get my point across about Cavani and Telles. Of course, it's been such a terrible window. I even forgot about Alex Telles at this point. Alex Telles he can cross a ball, but he was benched in favor of a 32 or 33-year-old Felipe Luis in the Brazilian team. So am I optimistic about him? Not really. He's got his defensive stats are really poor. His attacking stats come from the fact that he takes penalties and free kicks. But he can cross a ball, so I guess that was the only requirement. Man United had to sign a left back. And again, like you mentioned, it was not a priority signing considering we had Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams there. Centre back was the priority in defense. Right wing was the priority in attack, and we ended up with a centre forward. So it almost seems like there is a big disconnect between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the board at that point. And I just you've said this a few times, and I just want to, since this was the marquee signing, I just want to get a quick, small, quick sense of um, Edinson Cavani in your opinion, because I know you for a long time, man. I know you have expressed it in the past that he's a player you would not want in your team because, and you have given a good reasoning as well. You have seen poor games. Do you think he is someone who would step up in the big moment and deliver? Is he the kind of marquee signing that we can actually rely on? Or is this more of a signing where the club is basically like, well, we have completely and utterly botched this transfer window. We have screwed up. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just get one player in to shut the fans up.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Right? We're talking about centre forwards. We're
Right,
talking about good centre forwards.
right,
Right? I've told this for a good part of 5 to 6 to 7 years now, right? I've been yelling on top of the voice.
right,
Right? The last centre forward I would sign
right.
is Edinson Cavani. And
Yes.
you've heard me tell this multiple times,
Mhm.
right? The people in our group also would have heard it like time and time and time again.
Mhm.
The last person I want United to sign is Edinson Cavani,
Mhm.
right? Big player. Yeah, people can talk about him, pull up his stats saying that, oh, look, he has a goal in, every 3 games, every 4 games. Look at him play like that for Napoli. He plays with Luis Suarez for Uruguay.
Mhm.
Man, I just have one thing to say.
Mhm.
He's been a free agent all summer,
Mhm.
right? if he was a free agent all summer, what does that imply?
Right. I mean, Atletico Madrid were in for him
I
apparently.
I
Benfica were
agree.
in for him, but nobody of that. I mean, I guess Atletico Madrid you could say, but I mean, no
They
one
got
of that.
Suarez, right?
They got Luis Suarez, right, and they let him go. But I agree with you. I think he has the fact that
Right.
he has
And
been free all summer.
right. And I'll tell you one more thing. Benfica sold Ruben Diaz for quite a good chunk of money, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They would have easily paid up Edinson Cavani's agent fees,
Right.
but they
If that.
didn't.
Right.
If that was the case, if they were so desperate,
Right. I agree.
right? And I'll tell you what, we signed Edinson Cavani,
Hmm.
and Marshall, in my view, is a confidence player, man. If once he
Right.
gets going, is really, really good, and
Right.
he's at it.
Right.
Now you bring in a pure center forward,
Hmm.
Edinson Cavani, who's a starter. Let's keep that he's a starter.
Right.
Who do you bench? Do we have any foresight on who we are going to bench?
Hmm.
Let's assume this. We go back to a flat 4-4-2,
Hmm.
right? In the current situation, with the sitter itself, we're conceding threes and fours.
Right.
I'm telling with the defensive sitter,
Hmm.
right? Now imagine you take that sitter away, you play Bruno, who has to play,
Bruno has to play. I agree.
right? And the other one being
Mhm.
either Donny van de Beek or Pogba, when given by the current, and it will be Pogba,
Right.
right? It's just exposing our defense, which has already been, like, walking a thin line,
Right.
right? What's going to happen? Now,
Oh,
another thing. I'm going to come back to this,
slapped.
right? Right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get your opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
What was the point of giving Cavani the number 7 shirt
Mm-hmm.
for 2 seasons now? He's contracted to us for 2 seasons now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And mind you, Pelestri is right mid.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmad is also right wing.
Right.
What does this say?
We are not getting a right winger anytime soon. I mean, I think there is a clear indication from the hierarchy that
We do
either
what we want
it's
to do.
right. We're not back. They're not. And this is a great point, Anirudh, to go into the next big question that I had for our podcast today. To me, this clearly looks like the board has decided we will do whatever the hell we want. We don't give a damn about the fans. We don't give a damn about the manager. And it is a clear indication that they do not back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, I understand Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a club legend, and you know my stand on this. I know your stand on this. Even if we disagree with him, we will always back him completely because he's a club legend and he's given so much to the club. But this being said, we have seen he is not a proven winner at a big club, of course, as a manager. We've had proven winners in the past, like Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, who probably, it doesn't get bigger than those two. Um,
Absolutely.
where the board has not backed them either. So that being said, we look at the trends of Louis van Gaal, we look at the trend of Jose Mourinho, and we come into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And do you do you personally think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has possibly pressed the board so much this summer for his signings that he has actually pissed a few people off in there, and he is, again, not winning a trophy last year probably contributes to this as well, especially that semi-final loss to Seville. Um, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer walking a thin line here, or is he is he going to be in the job long term, or is he someone who is already, as happened with Van Gaal and Mourinho, a dead man walking?
Look, I think you bring out like excellent points, about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and before that Mourinho and Van Gaal, right? You ask any Dutch football fan or
Mhm.
any Jose Mourinho, any fan who's actually seen
Mhm.
or watched Jose Mourinho's teams play and the way Jose conducts himself, it doesn't get any bigger than those two in world football, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Louis van Gaal led Netherlands
Mm-hmm.
to an unbeaten third place finish
Yep.
at the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
It doesn't get big. Look, as much as I said that, okay, we played this kind of football under Louis, we played this kind of football under Jose,
Mm-hmm.
right? They still walked.
Right.
And mind you, look at the clubs they've managed.
Pedigree.
Inter,
Right.
Inter, Bayern Munich,
Mm-hmm.
Netherlands national team,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tell me if
Real
it be
Madrid.
Real
Real
Madrid,
Madrid.
Barcelona, right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
you you look at the clubs
Right.
and look at the pedigree of the clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and we just said, get out of my club
Mm-hmm.
because the results are not good. Mind you, Van Gaal won the FA Cup that season.
Right. Mourinho delivered trophies as well, and now Mourinho, who was criticized for being overly defensive at Man United, has rolled up a
Smashed
Tottenham
us for
team.
six
He has rolled up a Tottenham team to Old Trafford and put six
pastors.
past us, which is absolutely disgraceful. But it's
And
it's
I'll tell you what.
shambolic.
Let me finish. Let me finish. So
Yes.
let me go over and say that you're right. Absolutely, you're right, Sanil. I think that Ole is walking a tightrope now,
Hmm.
right? However, do you really think that we finished third last season? With all due respect, Bruno carried us to third place,
Hmm.
right? This season it looks bleak,
Right.
and we're hardly 5 games in.
Hmm.
I'm talking about the entire season.
Hmm.
Our second squad played against Luton. Our second squad played against Brighton.
Hmm.
They played better than the first team could ever play,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And to be honest with you, I really don't know about what's gonna happen with Ole to
Hmm.
you know the way he's swayed up about the board. He's a
Hmm.
club legend, man. Whatever happens, I will back him to the hilt.
Hmm.
But it's evident for all to see how botched, how shit,
Hmm.
how absolutely ridiculous
Hmm.
the needs versus the
Hmm.
delivery has been,
Right.
right? And I'm telling you, a
Hmm.
club like United, we have a lot of scouts.
Hmm.
I'm assuming we have a lot of
Well,
scouts.
it's reported we have a scout network of more than 50 scouts. So yeah.
We have 50 scouts, right?
Mhm.
Then why do we need Edwin van der Sar to push a deal,
Right.
right? Why do we need a Diego Forlan to identify some random kid in
Right.
Uruguay, even
Right.
though Ole has come out and said that they've been tracking Facundo Pellistri for a while now,
Well, he's going straight
right?
into the first team, which is
He's going
another.
I don't know, man. I really don't understand what's happening,
Right.
right? From okay, leave all of that. Let's Let me ask you this. Jude Bellingham was available,
Right.
right? First team player for Birmingham City.
Hmm.
He was offered to United,
Right.
or let me put it this way: United were in for him, weren't they?
Right. 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 He came to
And what
character and
happened?
everything. Yep. Dortmund
And
poached
what
him.
happened? What Dortmund poached him. Right?
Right.
If our scouts,
Right.
right, give all the scouting reports,
Right.
and we being the having the big scout network and everything,
Right.
he's in Dortmund's first team now,
Right.
right?
Right.
We pulled the plug on Reguilon,
Hmm.
which I think was fair given the buyback
Right.
clause and everything,
Right.
right?
Right.
But my only thing is, it's a shit show, man. To be
Right.
honest, it's a complete shit show,
Hmm.
and I want to get your thoughts on this because we're approaching like 45 minutes now.
Right.
I want to get your thoughts on this about what is it
Hmm.
that that is holding us back in getting the targets we need.
Hmm.
Right? We go ahead and splash 80 million for our club captain,
Hmm.
obviously, 30 million for Victor Lindelof,
Hmm.
another 30 in for Bailly,
Hmm.
right? That's and a 50 for Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Hmm. 30 for
Let's
Luke Shaw.
calculate. 30 for Luke Shaw. Okay, Luke
Right.
Shaw was quite a while ago, right? Prospect before he.
Yeah,
Let's
still it was a 30
let's
minute
give him
transfer.
let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's leave Luke Shaw aside. These four were signed in the last 4 seasons.
Right.
That gives us 80, 110, 140, 190 million.
Right. Cool.
190 million defense.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me the number of games that these four have started together. Mind you, Van Bissaka was signed last season, Maguire was signed last season.
Right.
Like, tell me a string of games where this backline played together,
Well,
having spent so much money.
right. And I think that one of the things is that backline is not to play that backline together is kind of impossible because you're looking at three centre backs in there with Bai, Lindelof, and Maguire.
I
Of
agree.
course,
I agree. I'm
of
sorry.
course, of
Let's
course,
let's
Wan
remove Eric
Bissaka.
Bailly. Right?
Yeah, no,
Let's.
but I get your point, man. Overall, in general, that it is a pretty it is absolutely shambolic. And looking at it from the outside, I mean, all I see is worry. I see red flags, and we're still talking about spending more on centre backs now. It's almost like, why do people talk about Pep spending 1 billion on defense? Well, we're going to close into that number soon at this rate, which is absolutely disgusting. And with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like the original topic being, that was the topic of discussion. What do we think of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? The way it has been portrayed by the media, the way the club is moving, and the way we are not getting his targets, I personally do believe that. I mean, Pochettino has been talked about, of course, and I am of the opinion that Ollie's a dead man walking. We look at the fixtures. We have Paris away to PSG. We have Leipzig at home in the Champions League. Again, group of death. I have no
Chelsea.
idea what's happening in the Champions League. We have Chelsea at home. We have Arsenal at home. And mind you, Anthony Martial will miss the Chelsea game. He'll miss the Arsenal game because it was a straight red. He's banned for 3 games. And Cavani will hopefully be available for PSG apparently. All that, being kept in mind going forward. I think, like you mentioned, since we're on a bit of a crunch, I want to talk about the next game that's coming up. Just a quick, brief couple of points from you, and I just want to get your quick answer on a few positions where there have been doubts, and who would you go with in that particular position? At center back's probably the one we start off first, right? I mean, I would have to say the options going into the game is Eric Bailly has played 2 games in the international break now. Luckily, come out.
Oh, he got injured,
No, he
but that
came
was
out.
not
No,
nothing major.
yeah, he came out and said he was fine and he played the second game. So we have Eric Bailly, Victor Lindelof, and Harry Maguire, who today has been sent off for England after 30 minutes. So just tell me quickly, Anirudh, between Harry, Lindelof, and Eric, what two centre backs start at Newcastle in your opinion? Just quickly tell me their names.
Tough one, isn't it? It's really tough. I'm gonna pose the same question to you once I'm done.
Mhm,
But I think Eric Bailly plays. I
mhm,
think Lindelof and Bailly. No, I'm confused, man. I think Maguire plays. Yeah, I think Maguire and Lindelof play.
mhm. You think Maguire and Lindelof play?
Yeah, I think Maguire and Lindelof play.
So
We're
not
in
Eric
we're,
Bailly then.
we're in such a situation. You know what? Maguire and Lindelof just conceded three. Maguire and Bailly conceded six. So, given that
Ah, you gotta
given
be
that we're in the
kidding me, man. You gotta be kidding me. But
yeah, I'm just rambling at this moment in time. But then we never know, do we? Because you know what? I'm waiting for Axel Tuanzebe to come back, man.
that would be. I mean, here's the thing though. Again, it's one of those where we are putting our hope in the player, but it was almost like we put our hope in Eric Bailly. He was finally given the start against Tottenham, and we conceded 6. So I personally am a big fan of
But
Axel Tuanzebe. I
I'll
think
tell
he's
you
a
what, I'm
monster.
going to defend Eric Bailly here and tell that the first three goals that we concede
Mhm.
are not his fault.
Yeah, he's not at fault for the goals. The only question is that he was in that back line that did consider. So even if you're not at fault, it kind of does come back to
Yeah,
that. And
true. Yeah, I give into that. Yeah, I
so,
think
but like you said, you posed that same question back to me about the centre backs. I personally do believe the way it's going, it would be beneficial for Maguire to actually be taken out for a game or two, just kind of rested. You know, I because it's difficult for me to see that, and considering we're playing up against Callum Wilson, who has
I tell
who
you what.
who does
I tell you
possess.
what.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you this as well. I have a strange feeling we're gonna play three at the back that game.
Just to shore things up at the back, then
We're gonna play three at the back with Luke Shaw playing centre back and Alex Telles playing left wing back. We might do this.
I hope that's not the case because I am
And
very.
I'll tell you what. I'll
Mhm.
tell you what. And in the midfield, we'll play all three: Donny van de Beek, Paul Pogba. Oh no, we can't play them, right? Oh wait, we can.
We can.
Why not? We can.
Donny, Bruno, and Pogba. I mean, it's possible, but
Exactly. And we play
Martial,
Mason
so
and
Martial
Rashford.
suspended, so Rashford and Mason, yeah. I
It
mean,
is possible.
5-3-2. But I personally do believe that our we should stick with a back four though. I get your point, and I see that is something that Ollie might try to do because it's a tough away game. For me personally, in that centre back department, I would go for Lindelof and Bai, especially considering we are facing Callum Wilson. I think Maguire just needs to take a break and get his head up.
I need to tell you something more than Callum Wilson, right? Is Andy Carroll fit?
I I would believe so, and that would be a
If Andy
big
Carroll is fit,
right,
right? Imagine the number of air balls that will come in. And I am 100% sure
right,
that Brucey would have,
right.
looked at our backline and said, put in air balls to Andy
Right,
Carroll.
long balls into Andy Carroll. Possible. I mean, Joelinton is there as well. I personally, I don't know where we're looking at from that
I
perspective.
really hope we win, man. I don't have any
Yeah,
predictions for
I
this one.
I
I
agree.
just hope we win.
I definitely agree with you. And just a quick brief talk. Paul Pogba or Donny van de Beek? Because
Van de Beek, man.
Bruno is a need-on starter. Need a holder, either Matic or McTominay or Fred possibly. But Van de Beek or Pogba, in your
Van de
opinion?
Beek, he scored for
Yes,
Netherlands.
I personally would go for
I would
Don.
close my eyes and put Van de Beek in the starting 11.
Right. Pogba's been.
He's so good. I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to talk anything about this. I'm not going to ramble anymore. I'm just going to say one thing. If Mata says you're a good player, right, you are a good player.
Right.
And Juan Mata has told, I love playing with Van de Beek. So you
Right.
got to be really good to,
Mhm.
be spoken of by Juan Mata. Has Juan told anything about Pogba till now?
No, not really. No.
I haven't heard anything that he's spoken about Paul. He's
Mhm.
talented, he's world class, everybody knows it, right?
Right.
But to come out and specifically talk about someone,
Right.
now that
Mhm.
is something that worth considering.
Right. So I
So
think
that said,
so I think looking into this Newcastle game, man, there is a lot of 50-50s for Ollie to think about, especially considering the abysmal result. We've had the international
we
break.
lose. I'm just saying, if we lose,
Mhm.
I really don't know what's gonna happen.
We're looking forward to a terrible finish because the Newcastle game is followed by Chelsea and Arsenal, who, I mean, Arsenal, no matter how much we talk against them, they're absolutely flying under Mikel Arteta. Chelsea, having their new squad, having an international break, probably will be gelling a little bit more. I heard Havertz and Werner have linked up really well for Germany in the international break. So, all that being said, Ollie has a lot of tough decisions to make. I personally do think his job is under massive threat with the shadow of Pochettino looming over. And Ed Woodward will not be afraid to pull the trigger, especially considering, Ollie has gone into the board recently and his signings have not been delivered. But the bottom line is we are looking to the game against Newcastle. We don't have Martial or Cavani available. Um, it's one of those where we don't know as fans what's going to happen. All we can hope for is optimism and like you said, man, hopefully a good result. Do you want to do a score prediction on this one, or are you good to just
I'll
say it's a win?
pass.
You pass
I'll
on
just
that one,
pass.
eh?
Yeah, I'll pass, man,
I,
because
I,
it's
I get that, man. I totally get that. I personally think we will roll up to St. James's Park. I do see us getting a bit. And this is again a biased optimist side of me coming out. I do hope for us to get a victory. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet, to be very honest with you. I think it will be it'll be like a 2-1 or a 3-2 kind of a victory. So let's just hope that there are brighter days ahead for Man United, because it has been a abysmal, disgusting few months. It has been full of embarrassment. I know it's almost shameful at this point, being trolled left, right, and center. But come on, man, it's Newcastle away. Let's hope we can get the win. And like I always say, man, I want to be optimistic. So come on, United, please don't let me down against Newcastle. Get me something.
You know, I'm too tired to even say come on United right now, but I'll say this. Come on United, let's do this.
Come on,
Let's
boys.
just win.
Come on, boys. Just a bit of optimism would go a long way. Come on, United.